slightly different angle. We're hearing a lot about trade union, further restrictions on trade union rights. The debate that the CPI and Boris Johnson, for example, have unleashed in the media over the past few days. And I want to look at the question of trade union rights compared with employers' rights and what employers are allowed to do to people in Britain today. Because if you look at our trade unions, we've had these restrictions on our ability to fight, to defend ourselves, to organise in the workplace, to take on employers, to fight for decent pay, to prevent job losses, all the things that workers join trade unions for. Those laws are put in place very deliberately to stop us being effective, to undermine our effectiveness as workers' organisations. But on top of the laws, of course, we've had judgments that then extend the impact of the law. And we will hear some examples of those. I want to just come at it, as I say, from a slightly different angle, what, in sort of, some experiences we've been through in the fire service, of what employers are doing to people. Because you may have seen there is currently a dispute in the London Fire Brigade, where we, tomorrow I expect to get a very big yes vote in a strike ballot. And that's the disputes in the background of it relates to negotiations about changes to working routines, shift systems, duty systems and so on. But what the employer has done in that case, which is the reason why we moved to a strike ballot and why we will get such a big yes vote in the strike ballot, is the employer has used the HR1 process, i.e. the process of beginning to terminate the contracts of every single affected member of their workforce. So in London currently, every firefighter who works a shift on a fire station has been told that their employment will be terminated. They will in fact be sacked, and if they want to come back to work, and after that they will come back to work on new terms and conditions. And just think about that for a moment, because we're told, you know, when you contract of employment, and lawyers will tell you that the strengths and weaknesses of it, but the theory of it is we enter this voluntary equal agreement between a worker and their employer, where we say, well, we'll come to work, we'll do these hours, we'll perform this function, and they say, in return, we'll pay you this, and you get this holiday, and so on. But what employers are also allowed to do is to say, if you don't ultimately agree to our demands at the end of these negotiations, we will sack the lot of you, and if you want to come and carry on working for us, you'll do it on our terms. And that is an absolute damn disgrace that that is allowed to carry on in this day and age. Because we talk about Victorian values, and that very much is Victorian values. It's about saying you work on our terms and conditions, if you don't like it, clear off, you're down the road. And then that's happened with us in the London Fire Brigade. It happened with an attempt to do that to us last year in South Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service. But then if you read the press now, you have the same happening in Sheffield City Council, you have the same happening in Birmingham City Council, talking to colleagues in Unison and elsewhere. They expect a whole raft of these as the cuts agenda unfolds. A way of forcing cuts in pay, attacks on conditions of service. So when we talk about this so-called fair and equal relationship between the worker and the employer in the contract of employment, it's absolute nonsense.